kept there. So naturally, when the munition hits that, there will be secondary explosion arising from that, which will generate, other things flying in the air, which was what led to the death of about 10 persons that were reported. The 10 persons reported were not hit directly by the airstrikes. The people that were hit directly by the airstrikes were the Lakura terrorist group, and they were burnt beyond recognition. Now, to the report about the usage of drones. I don't think that there's need for any unnecessary panic about the usage of drones. We're in a war against terrorists and against insurgents across our country. And all you need to look is not far from what you see happening in Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Hamas, and all that. The use of drones in the battlefield is not new. Now, when we are talking of drones now, please, we don't want unnecessary panic, because these are not professional drones, not military-graded drones. These are toys that they went to buy and found a way to put one or two things on board.
Nuisance, Lele.
The Haram, there is no singular Kurawa terrorist in those blasts. Not a single person, not a single Kurawa terrorist. Civilians were killed in their homes. But his defense is that the Lakurawa terrorists were burned beyond recognition. So that saves it. That's it. He said they hit their targets. Right? How did they know? How did they know that they hit their targets? All the people killed, their bodies were recovered. And their family, their people, their loved ones recognized them. They identified all their people. There is no single terrorist in that blast, in that bomb they dropped. Not a single terrorist. Well, his own defense is that I've said enough on that, because they were burned beyond recognition. So you can't recognize them. So let's go to another thing. That is the people committing genocide in Nigeria. And they are victims. They are the ordinary people in the Hausa communities up north. They call them collateral damage. Collateral damage. There was a guy who tend to speak in English on behalf of Tinubu's government as well, okay? These are the guys they sent to the media to douse the tension, all right? By trying to explain away what a Niger Republic leader said about Tinubu and France, the killing of civilians in this, their dropping of bombs that they claimed was on target. And because terrorists, these people are mixing up with terrorists. Don't become a victim of Nigeria. Now, twice you go die. If you look back, you go just regret, say, oh, more, I die. And I can't even defend myself. That is Nigeria. But listen to this one quickly.
But these questions are necessary, because if the whole idea is to protect lives and lives are being lost, then these questions arise. So how would you describe, from an expert's point of view, whether it's secondary or primary explosion that led to the death? Was this a mistake, or just one of those collateral damages that come with scenarios like this?
Well, at this stage, we just have to go with the statement by the DHQ saying that these are secondary devices. And the scenario painted is that the individual that was targeted is a logistics supplier for the Lakura group. In other words, he gathered IED materials in the form of maybe, name them, fertilizer, all the materials they use in putting together an IED. And so perhaps some of the materials had already been put together. I'm just trying to conjure a mental image of what the spokesperson, General Buba, of the DHQ meant by saying these are secondary explosions. Because even if they are just materials that have not been put together, that type of explosion would not happen. But if they've been put together into bombs, waiting for delivery, and then, that attack happened, then yes, we could see those kind of explosions. But I think what is even more important is for an independent inquiry actually to be conducted, so that some of these issues are actually, verified. My worry is that there is a pattern. I think in the recent past, we've seen about 4 instances of this type of collateral damage. It happened in Nasarawa, it happened in Zamfara, it happened in Borno State before then, and then now in Sokoto State. These are all instances of collateral damage, as it were, blue on blue, or direct targeting of civilians. It shouldn't be the case, really. We do, like you indicated, honor and respect the military for what they do, but we need to also remind the military that the essence of those operations is to protect civilian lives. And where civilian lives are lost, it should be accountable. There should be a transparent process of accountability. So where errors that could have been prevented happened, then we should make sure that those errors don't repeat themselves. As an example, if the intelligence was credible and the intelligence did indicate that there was explosives there that could detonate and lead to this type of death, why did we use that particular weapon to take out that individual? Was the value of that individual so high to us that we could, as it were, afford to lose this number of lives? These are questions that I think deserve answers. These are components that can be used for IEDs.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't mean to cut you, but let's move on to some things that are happening in the geopolitics. This recent allegation by General Chani of Niger against Nigeria, he's made very strong allegations. Of course, the Nigerian government has refuted, the NSA, ECOWAS has refuted as well. So his claims broadly covers the fact that maybe Nigeria is in cahoots with France, given the relations of the president with France and some of the trips he's made, even making claims like Nigeria trying to, quote unquote, destabilize Niger with being cahoots in France, things like establishing or allowing Lacroix to find expression in certain parts of the north. He's made these claims, and some people have identified the fact that he chose to speak in Hausa. So let's address it one after the other. Is he just grasping at straw, or what exactly is he doing at the moment?
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. And this is what I did when I first heard of the video. The first thing I tried to do was to verify the authenticity of the video. And of course, after I verified it, I asked myself the critical question. What is this guy trying to achieve? He's the president of a country, and the official language in that country is French. And then, of course, the generality of people there do speak Hausa. So why did he speak in Hausa? And my answer, led me to the conclusion of what I've always known over the last 1.5 years, since July last year when the coup in that country occurred. So his grand strategy is simple. He's showing up support for the junta that he leads. The support that he has been able to gain up to date is grounded around the anti-French sentiment. And every time he makes statements to suggest that France is doing ABC, XYZ, he is shoring up that local support. He's been able to sustain that local support up until now. Let's not forget that it's one of the only countries in the sub-region where a military coup has occurred, that a transition plan is yet to be released. And unfortunately, because for some reason we haven't used the machinery of the media to put pressure on him, he's actually putting pressure on us. So he's come out with that statement in Hausa with spurious allegations. And even he himself knows that those allegations, a lot of them are baseless. But he still went ahead to do them because he's targeting that support, that sentiment that allows him to remain in power and to do the types of things that he's doing in the country. So how should we take it as a country? Should our response be in kind to just deny the allegation, or should we now ask ourselves, since it's a strategy, a propaganda strategy, what should we do? And I think this is where perhaps the focus of government should be. We need to be a step ahead. If his essence is shoring up local support by pushing this anti-French and anti-French resentment, and we've decided as a country that we want to be close to France, which is perhaps what seems obvious to me, then we should be ready for such propaganda, and then we should be ready to lead in terms of the propaganda. And maybe in the course of the conversation, I would have some suggestions to throw in that regard. But at the moment, it is my view that we are not winning that propaganda, machinery, as it were. He is leading in it. He's speaking to the audience he wants to speak to, both locally in Niger and then here in Nigeria. Because, I mean, I don't know if you looked at the papers today and the social media, Niger is trending. The accusations that he laid are trending. And this is not to in any way belittle the response by the Nigerian authorities. I've had 3 cabinet ministers, including the National Security Advisor, granting interviews on the issue.
Like they are now, the Ronukus, the Ronu bandits, Ronu Nazis. They are on defensive right now. They are trying to convince all of us that, listen, you see this France, the reason they are trying to make France look bad, I need to say everything we know about France in this region for decades. They are not true. Now that Tifnumbu is now a friend to France, oh, listen, you see, these guys, they are just using propaganda. They just want you to see France as if to say France is bad. Oh, France is not bad, though. See, we need to kind of counter them. Listen, see, France is such a very lovely partner. In fact, France is going to help Nigeria to fight terrorists. You see, France is going to bring prosperity. You will see. See, we need to stand up, we need to support France. So we need to support Tifnumbu for being a friend of. But it's going to be a tough one. Let me be honest. This is why it's going to be a tough one, is that whatever propaganda they want to use in defending France, Tifnumbu's relationship with France, and whatever Tifnumbu is going to give to France in Nigeria, whatever propaganda they want to use, the question you can ask is this: how come that since France has been exploiting these countries, how come all those things they want to do for Nigeria now, how come they didn't do them for these countries? How come? It is about stable electricity, improved economy, improved currency, the defeat of terrorism and all of that. How come they have not done, they didn't do that for these countries for decades? Well, it is Nigeria. Sure, don't become their victim. That is my own number one advice. Wala day, and it is everywhere as we speak. Tifnumbu is the weapon fashioned against you. And we are all just a disaster waiting to happen, because it is turn by turn Nigeria Limited. The only thing well democratized in Nigeria is the shege that APC, Egbekegbe, has been dishing out, whether you are a Christian or you are a Muslim, whether you are a Northerner, a Middle Belter, a Southerner, whether you are Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, Fulani, wherever you are, everybody get their own size of shege under these criminals. But we do have those who live in denial of it as well. You see, yesterday, Bala Mohammed, who is the Fulani governor of Bauchi, took to a podium where he was pretty much ranting. And yes, this sentiment of Tifnumbu is the enemy of northern Nigeria is so strong in northern Nigeria right now that Tifnumbu will spend a lot of time. I don't know, like they would have to hire a lot of propagandists that will help him in northern Nigeria to prevent any breakout of mini war. I don't know, but yeah, because you see, Tifnumbu already said that he's not going back on his plan, on his reforms Make all of them go learn how to live with it and how to survive with it. That is going to change it, forget it. But guess what Bala Mohammed told his own audience yesterday? He told them that if Tinubu insists on going ahead with that is a tax reform, he is only calling for anarchy. And it's going to be a matter of time. You know why I decided to share that with you? As some of you will be like, is that when the destruction of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan will start by these guys, it started from Bauchi. Jonathan visited the is the emir of Bauchi or whatever, one of their top traditional leader there. While Jonathan was inside, they mobilized the Alimajiri children. I'm talking about thousands of them. They were outside the palace. President of Nigeria inside the palace. And like, I don't want to exaggerate, like about 10, 15,000 children. They took over the entire outside the palace. All the adjoining streets and everywhere, right? All blocked. And they were all holding stones, sticks. If you have been following this politics for a while, like I have, you probably will remember that scenario. I should probably have brought you the video, but it doesn't matter. You can look out for it. They stoned a sitting president in Bauchi. That was the beginning of what other audacity they pushed in destroying not just Jonathan, Nigeria. And the kind of incitement they give, they always do it in Hausa as well. They don't speak in English when they do that. Tinubu insists during his last media chat, remember?
Could have perhaps preceding, just before the presentation to the National Assembly, you could have sought maybe for more dialogue, a political solution to preempt the outcry and resistance that they faced afterwards.
Every tax situation without outcry is not a tax. Well, you cannot satisfy uniformly the larger community of tax evaders. Look at this tax reform. It's pro-poor. The vulnerables are not to pay taxes. All we ask for is widen the net, bake the cake larger, so that we can share a larger meal. What is the need? They will still ask for this consultation no matter how long I delay it. The hallmark of a good leader is the ability to do what you have to do at the time it has to be done. That's my philosophy. You have given me the mandate to govern. Let me govern within the limit of my capacity. And I believe I have that capacity. I believe so. That's why I went into the race. I am focused, laser focused on what Nigeria needs and what I must do for Nigerians. It's just not going to be El Dorado for everybody. But the new dawn is here. I'm convinced. And you should be convinced. You should help propagate that conviction.
I'm dialing back, Mr. President, to the budget.
If we reduce the purchasing power of the people, we can further slow down the economy. Let's widen the tax net. Those who are not paying now, if it is inclusive of Bola Tinubu, let the nets get bigger and we take in more taxes, and that is what we must do in the
nuisance lele.
And for Bala Muhammad, Tinubu is calling for anarchy. Anarchy lose. Anarchy lose. But listen to this. So in Hausa, I was speaking to the audience that if Tinubu go ahead, they in northern Nigeria will not be able to pay salaries. They will no longer be able to fulfill their financial obligations. And therefore, Tinubu is calling for anarchy.
Ko gwamnatin tarayya ne ko shugaban kasa ne wallahi ba mu tsoron sa sai dai mu yi biyayya saboda girmama shugabanci amma ba za a dika cin mana mutunci ba mutane suna yunwa suna wahala ya kamata a duba shugabanci shine sauraron mutane shugabanci shine yi abinda mutane suke so ko ba haka bane to har da muka kai wannan matsayi mu ci gaba da yin haƙuri don zaman lafiya ya fi zama ɗan sarki a ci gaba da haƙuri mu yi addu'a wa shugaban ƙasa da gwamnatinsa Allah ya sa su saurara Allah ya sa su canja yadda zai zama mana mai amfani su canja yadda zai kawar da yunwa da wahala da cin mutunci da rashin tsaro da sauran abubuwa wanda ake so a kawo wanda zai raba kan Najeriya wanda zai raba kan al'ummar Najeriya. Dan wana Kirista muna godiya irin goyon bayan da kuke ba mu.
Anarchy looms. Anarchy looms. Anarchy looms.
Anarchy looms. Anarchy looms. I know a typical Lagos Agbero. Anybody, which you don't the shakara. So if you try anything there, you know, do you think it's about this? Well, if these other people try anything, we go show them. Whoa. You don't see where they don't throw people to death before. It is in Sharia. Like they are some of US Abuja, de Kogi. Now, the trucks that are loading cows, bringing cows to the south, you can now get to a co and begin to break bottle. They begin to do your shakara. When you really see them, go when they are coming. Because majority of you now mouth na gets. You understand? Eruku, no one die. And some of you there, for that Abuja where they take you, Eruku Eko is different from Eruku Abuja Omakpa Shegesila, because yes, you can kill them too. I'm just saying, you know, just I have seen Agberos with their mouth, and at the end of the day, they go just cross the street for express. The sitting president with all the security apparatuses, right? Soldiers, DSS, police, all of them, with all those guns, you know convoy of a president now. They stoned Jonathan, but he was a good guy to some extent that he didn't give the order to, you know, because when similar thing happened under Boko and Buratai the Butcher was the chief of army staff in Nigeria. Buratai the Butcher was passing, and then the Shiites, they were doing their procession in Zaria, Kaduna State. Buratai the Butcher said they blocked his way. Guess what happened? They ordered for battalion from Kaduna, battalion of soldiers. All those godo, those ones where they wear, what do you call that thing again? This thing that looks like mask. Like you are fighting war. All this one that would be like they are wearing something like a camouflage leaf for face. Baba, they brought them to face civilians. Civilians, Baba, they killed over 1,400 people. They didn't stop there. They started, those who escaped, those who ran away, is it not democracy again? They entered the houses. For 4 days, the entire Zaria was on fire. That is how Buratai earned the name Buratai the Butcher. El Rufaya, Kaduna Little Finger, they gave them mass burial. True story. It's not funny. Oh. I'm telling you true story. Oh. This happened though. It happened though. Over 1,400 people were slaughtered in 4 days in Kaduna, in Zaria, Kaduna. That was how they grabbed. Go and check it online. You will see the image of Zazaki. They beat them like say Olo Jimaluni. Pia want to Jimalu person will steal cow. The picture is online. Some of you will still see it online. It's online. El Zazaki, the leader